There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.
Hello and welcome to The Bright Side, your Valley News Now weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER DAMAGE of North Dakota. We are taking a look at what's going to be a beautiful day today. Now, I know we've had a couple of sprinkles move through Fargo-Moorhead. That was to be expected here today with some clouds moving through. But we are on our way to more sunshine and conditions that should be really pleasant for your April 15th afternoon. It's tax day. I know we might not be looking on the bright side with it being tax day today, but hopefully you're getting a refund. Hopefully you got your taxes done, and if not, at least we've got some nice weather to greet us while we're working on them and planning ahead for the next year to maybe get a return that next time you fill out those taxes. So looking at conditions that are looking beautiful. Now I do have to say that we are in the we're keeping our eye out for that possibility for some wintry weather to make a comeback. So that makes us all the more wanting to enjoy what we've got going on right now and be thankful for it. The other thing I would need to talk about is it's Severe Weather Awareness Week in Minnesota. So we've been going over topics each day. So I thought we'd hit that first and then get into the ups and downs of the forecast here. A reminder that, again, we are moving our way into severe weather season. Minnesota has already seen some severe storms. There have been tornadoes earlier this week. So, I mean, it's just been already getting going. And so it's important that we are ready for severe weather. And today's topic is flooding. So specifically flash flooding, but flooding in general can be a problem. And we actually are dealing with it right now. We've got some river flooding going on. Now, we're accustomed to this, getting the flooding in the springtime and that possibility for, kind of more of that slow flood, that slow rise. And I know that that's not always the case. We get ice jams and we can see rapid rises on the rivers too during the spring melt as well. But looking ahead to summer, the greater concern in the summertime is flash flooding. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let's check in on our river levels. The red at Grand Forks is up. We've been sharing that on our news, and you can see it isn't quite making it to minor flood stage. It has kind of started to reach the apex of the curve and is kind of rounding the curve now and starting to go down, or will soon go down. It's currently at 27.01 feet, and the crest so far has been 27.05. So that will just kind of continue to gradually drop. And then moving downstream, the Red River at Oslo under a flood warning, and it is going to reach flood stage pretty soon here as we make our way into the day today, according to this forecast, but not surpassing flood stage by a lot. The expected crest is 26.4 feet. And then the Red River at Pembina is on its way up, just kind of gradually moving up right now, but it's expected to take a slightly more steep rise and move into minor flood stage as we head into the weekend. Actually before the weekend, but cresting into the weekend and into the start of next week. So watching those rivers, especially in the Northern Valley, the Two Rivers River in Hallock, one of the Red's tributaries, is also at flood stage, but the forecast is moderate, but you can see the curve of the graph is going down. So I imagine the River Forecast Center will update those graphs for you as we go through time. And so you can always check those if you head to our website, valleynewslive.com. Go to the weather page. It's one of the options at the top that you can select. It's right next to road conditions if you're accustomed to doing that from the winter time. So we can keep an eye on all of our rivers in the valley there. So that's a look at flooding going on currently. Now we want to talk about how to stay safe when we've got flooding going on. So here's a graph here from NOAA. I like this, so I like to share it. I think it shows a nice depiction of the threats and the dangers of floodwaters. And so the key thing to note is, we don't want to go into floodwaters ever. So when it's flooded, when the road is flooded, when your pathway is flooded, remember that phrase, turn around, don't drown. And that's certainly something that is serious and to take seriously. In fact, flooding is the #2 weather killer in the U.S. on Friday, we'll be talking about the #1 weather killer. So we'll talk more about that coming up later this week. But this is something to, again, take seriously. So let's take a look. So people trying to cross the river, just know that, during a flash flood situation, or maybe, you're along the edge of a river and you've got flooding going on, 6 inches of fast moving water, it can knock you over, an adult, and carry you away. That's an adult. Children, it's even less. So this is, again, not something you want to try to attempt to wade through. And the other thing about wading through water, the floodwaters, is you don't know what's in the floodwater. It could be dirty, it could be filled with sewage, waste, there could be sharp objects in the floodwater, there could be a downed power line. For us here in the valley, this has happened before many a time, where we have a lot of rural roads that are dirt or gravel roads, and then the steep ditches next to them. Sometimes those become washed out, and you can't tell that they're washed out because the water at the surface is level. So you don't know if you're gonna suddenly, you might think it looks fine and then suddenly end up going down into a washout area. Especially at night, it's hard to tell that kind of thing. So want to make sure that we're just, you see water in your path, turn around, don't drown. We want to make sure we're staying safe. And that's for people walking into the water. And then let's take a look at vehicles. 12 inches of fast moving water can carry away a small car. That's only a foot of water that can move a vehicle. And then for those heavier vehicles, the large SUVs, the vans, the trucks, it takes a little bit more water, but still it's something that water is very powerful. So we want to respect it and take it seriously when we're going through flooding. And then just, again, some reminders on flood safety. Same thing I've been saying. Do not walk in moving water or drive into flooded areas. If you find yourself caught outside during a flash flooding event, you want to make sure you find higher ground immediately. And of course, we're going to keep you up to date throughout the summertime storm season with updates on any flood warnings and severe weather too. So that's today's topic. It's one we're familiar with, but it's good to be reminded, I think, as we go into the season. So let's talk about what we've been dealing with. So this image right here, looking pretty good on our DOT cam in Fergus Falls. This morning, this whole picture behind me was a wall of gray. It was super foggy this morning in parts of the valley, and Fergus Falls for a while had visibility reported near zero. So it's nice to see this big improvement here, and we have seen a lot of our reports coming in much better. Still low in Cavalier. We're still at a mile at the airport there, but that's better than the zero we were at up in that area earlier this morning. And as we take a look at our Skycam in Fargo, West Fargo, actually this is the Red River Valley Fairgrounds, we're looking east. You can see some clouds here, and some of these clouds have produced some showers, some sprinkles. And again, we talked about this on the valley today, that there might be some sprinkles or a light shower coming out of some of these clouds that have been moving through. And we definitely saw that on the camera earlier into the 9 o'clock hour. And so let's take a look at where we're at. So we've got a few clouds out there, a lot of places where we're completely clear, but some of these clouds, again, are producing a few sprinkles now in Clay County, back over toward the Beltrami County area. And then there is a little bit of a line here of clouds that could produce a sprinkle or two, but it looks like it's kind of been fizzling the last couple of frames of our radar loop here. All in all, it'll end up being a mostly sunny afternoon, and temperatures are on their way up. We're at 44 degrees right now in Fargo, and we'll be working our way into the 60s, and yes, even 70 potentially in the Southern Valley by the time we get into the 5 o'clock hour. And look at each hour here, we've got sunshine showing up for us, and wind that's not too strong. It'll be out of the south and into about 5 to 15 mile per hour range, but some gusts may get into the 20 range. So afternoon planner, 60s to low 70s. Best chance of seeing low 70s is in southeastern North Dakota and into northeastern South Dakota. So beautiful day. You'll want the sunglasses. The sun is strong this time of year, so sunblock a good idea if you're going to be outside for a while. But as I mentioned in the intro to this post, you also want to make sure your shovel's not too far away. Here's a look ahead the next 2 days. Thursday, still really warm and mild in a lot of spots, but we're seeing hints of change in our temperatures in Grand Forks and Devil's Lake. The colder air will start moving in the afternoon and evening, and that sets us up for our first alert weather day on Friday. Chances for rain, for snow. There may be some ice in there. And this movement here, these clouds moving, that's actually wind to show windy weather on Friday as well. So again, a first alert weather day for a big change. We're going to see wintry precip return. We're going to see the temperatures drop and some strong winds, and there is that potential for ice. So I tried to show you this yesterday, and I ended up having some model issues. So I'm going to try this again today. We're going to talk about two of our models. We're going to get into the differences between the two, but also the similarities to let you know where our confidence is at on how this system is taking shape. So the model behind me is the European model. We'll look through that. And then the second model is the American model known as the GFS. So we will look at both of them and then talk about that comparison about what this guidance is showing us. So we are looking at Thursday night. This is around 10:30. You could see at that point, we already have some showers moving in according to this particular model run. And they're not necessarily widespread and heavy. They're more scattered, but they're out there. And so then heading into the overnight hours and into Friday morning, we'll be watching for some of this to potentially change over. You see the pink here, that means freezing rain, to that freezing rain possibility. And in the morning hours, temperatures are more likely to be near freezing, so that is a possibility. Heading into the afternoon, the freezing rain threat will be a little bit less because of that, and we'll start to see that change over to the potential for snow. And again, at any given time, there are going to be places not getting any precip, and then other spots that may be seeing it. So that's heading into Friday. This is Friday evening. We start to see this transition to the east. And then here's one difference I want to talk about between our models. This clears things out pretty much Friday night. However, you can see this wraparound snow north of the border. The other model kind of tries to bring it back in for Saturday. And so that's where some uncertainty lies, is will we see that precip last into Saturday? Friday looks like a pretty good shot, at least seeing some precipitation. But Saturday, Friday night into Saturday, you know, it might be limited up to places like Lake of the Woods if this particular scenario plays out. And again, this is the European model. So this is moving through Saturday. It's going to be a colder day. You can see we start to clear out with this model. Now, let's move on. We're being slow. Here we go. Okay, so now this is the GFS, the American model, and I'm hoping it'll behave today. We're looking at Thursday night. Let's head into the late night hours and into Friday morning. A similar setup. This looks a lot like the European model. So when we see that in our model guidance, there we go, that kind of tells us that, you know, okay, our computer models and algorithms have a good handle on this scenario that's developing on where we stand. And so that helps us to get an idea of whether or not we're going to see it, or if there's a lower chance of seeing this happen. And right now, at least two models, two of our kind of old reliables, are showing that potential for a little freezing rain and a transition to snow on Friday morning. So let's get back to it. So you can see this is 7 a.m. Friday. We may be tracking these during the valley today. And then moving on into Friday afternoon, it's just a little slower to clear out into Friday evening. You see that first line still kind of lingering because we're getting kind of this wraparound effect going on. It's a little farther south, and so that's ducking into the valley a little bit more, heading into Friday night and perhaps even lingering into Saturday for more places in the valley. We may, you know, miss out in places out to the west on Saturday. We may be done, but places in the east may still be experiencing snow at that point. So that's kind of the two models that, and so we're looking at differences in the tail end of the event as far as when the snow will clear out. And that makes a difference on how much snow we can expect to see as well. So we're going to put together a forecast for snow amounts and what we'll expect to see as we get closer and as we get more model data coming in within more of a range for some of our more regional, higher resolution models into the second half of the week. So let's take a look at one of the things I'm most concerned about here with this system, and that is the potential for ice. So heading into Friday and into early Saturday, there's that possibility for ice. If we get that precip in the morning hours when temperatures will be closer to freezing, that would be, again, something that happens. And we know that any light coating of ice causes all sorts of problems for us. The one good thing working in our favor is that we have warm temperatures. We'll be coming off of a couple of 60, 70 degree days, so the ground's warm, but bridge decks may be an issue. Your vehicles, if you park outside, those are some of those trouble spots that we might have to deal with on Friday morning. Okay, let's take a look at our 11-day planner, starting with the first few days. Again, tax day, lots of sunshine. reward yourself with a little sunshine this afternoon after you get those done. Looking at temperatures in the 60s to low 70s. Tomorrow, Fargo may be even warmer. Some places in Lakes Country will likely be those places that are more likely to get into the 70s. And then the cooler air will start moving in Thursday to the northwest. And then our first alert weather day on Friday, you can see a huge difference. We go from 73 to 42, 30 plus degree difference in high temperatures. Friday morning will be close to that freezing mark. And especially up north, it may be a little bit colder. And so again, watching for any precip that we might be getting at that point in time. And then we're rising back into some upper 30s to low 40s Friday. Saturday, definitely dropping below freezing overnight. And then any lingering snow showers may hang around Saturday, especially in the east and especially that first half of the day. And the other thing I haven't really talked about much is the wind. That's going to be a factor with this event too, Friday and into Saturday. So really unpleasant going from just this beautiful temperature range to this. So some wild swings you should be prepared for the weekend. And then Sunday we start to, claw our way out of it. And by next week, it's right back into the low to mid 60s. So that's the beauty of April. Wintry weather in April is it definitely doesn't stick around. And then next week for Earth Week, we're looking at some 50s to some 60s coming up here. So that is a look at what we've got affecting us here in the forecast in the coming days. And we really are going to be on the pleasant side today. I just think today is a day to take advantage of if you can. Even if you can't get out long, or maybe if you just can't even get out, if you can crack open a window and let in some fresh air this afternoon as our temperatures warm up, that might be something that is worth the effort here for today as we're looking at trying to soak in a little spring before winter weather returns again for the end of the week, just for a short period of time, just a little, kind of last blast. Hopefully it's the last one heading into the weekend. So that's a look at your forecast on the bright side. We've got lots of bright days ahead, just a couple of days that, will make us appreciate the sunnier, brighter days as well. And you'll have more updates on today's weather and what's to come for the end of the week on our first alert weather day right here on Valley News Now. We'll have another update coming up this afternoon from the weather team. And you can always check in on the noon show with Summer Schnellbach. She'll be bringing you an update. And I'll be right back here tomorrow with more on this. And we are looking at, again, Severe Weather Awareness Week in Minnesota. Tomorrow's a tornado drill, so we're going to break down tornadoes. I have my Learning with Lisa at 10:30 tomorrow, and we're going to get into the details on how tornadoes form, all of that coming up tomorrow. So come back and tune in for that. All right, have a great day. Happy tax day. Hopefully it's all over for you, and you get to enjoy the weather from this point on. This has been your weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota.
There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.